Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Creator Conversations on iWomanTV. Today we are profiling the writer, director, and producer of our third place Audience Choice Award on iWoman. The film is called Smothered, and we have this beautiful director, writer, producer, Faryar Hoseini here joining us today in the studio. Congratulations for one.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity and this beautiful setup for interview.
You are so welcome. I loved your film. It was one of my favorites early on in the film festival this year. And I think what I really liked was that it was just cinematically, it left so much to the imagination, where you didn't go overboard with dialogue. It was really all mental that I felt when I was watching it. Tell me about Smothered. What is the premise of the film? And then I want to get into what inspired the topic.
So Smothered, it's about a father and son who lost the mother slash wife of the family. And as we all know, grief is always comes with anger, passive aggressive behavior. So it's about that household, household that basically they're struggling with their grief. Also, they have problem reconnecting with each other. So that's the main premise of the film. And also, when I want to pitch it to people, I don't want to spoil the end twist, because it's very important for me. I always say at the end they find something in between to reconnect again, if it makes sense.
It does. So set the stage for me though. It starts off with a young boy and his father. And clearly there's, like you said, the mother passes away. You don't actually say that, I don't think, at the beginning, but you kind of imagine that that's what's going on here. But set the stage for me.
So basically what I wanted to do was to show each individual grieving process. Instead of showing that they have, like, they're arguing or they're sad or they're angry at each other, for me was to basically visualizing grief in isolation, how to translate those grieving moments to visual language, not just only on surface, like crying, oh my God, I miss you. No, just everything very deeply and like with a lot of details to basically resonate that visualization of grief, if it makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And I kind of thought it was really interesting that you chose two male characters, because when you think of emotions, a lot of times men, and you see in this film that even starting at an early age, boys and men are traditionally thought to kind of hold their emotions in or not necessarily express their emotions the same way that a woman might. And so it's really interesting how you get into the mindset of the way that the father and the son are grieving the loss of their wife and mother, two different ways. And they have to find this interesting, unique way of connecting, which brings up a whole different set of challenges.
Yes, definitely. So men usually, in those catastrophic situations, they tend to be more passive-aggressive and blame each other. Having trouble basically work this stuff out, talk through it, or like express their emotion. So that was interesting for me, and surprisingly, I was like that as well, because it rooted in personal tragedy, because that happened to me. Okay. And I remember I was so angry at everyone.
Your mother passed away. Okay.
And it was like 40 days after I moved to United States. So during that process, I was so angry. I'm still angry. So I was always fascinated by the idea that how much basically dishonesty is in between, how much anger is in between. And sometimes it's just, you cannot just talk stuff. I mean, basically, how can I say, facilitate this stuff with talking. Sometimes you just have to be vulnerable. And that movie is about the vulnerability, the first moment of realization when the kid basically catches his father. So yeah, that was like exactly again, but men, how they try to hide their true maybe identity, their true desire, their true basically, yeah, anger, emotion.
Right, right, yeah, and it does. Again, I don't want to give away the whole thing, but there is this whole, I don't know if you want to call it cross-dressing moment, but the father and the son are both struggling with that identity at the same time. So it's a different set of challenges that end up coming in, and then again, it leaves a lot for the imagination because you don't know, well, is the father, you know, are you exploring, you know, him never have feeling right in his skin? You know, is he, or is this all part of the grief process? And again, you have to watch it to find out that plot line, right?
Yes, so I intentionally, in promotion video or when I'm basically pitching the movie to anyone, I intentionally keep that part aside. Because this movie is about observing people, observing these two characters, right? So the moment I enter to the world saying if he's transgender or if he's a cross-dresser, then that's not my movie anymore. Because I'm not from that group, I'm not a member of LGBTQ plus family, and all I'm doing in this movie is observing. And it's very interesting because people with different ages, different genders, different nationalities, all have their own interpretation of that process. And it's so interesting. People are like, oh, was he transgender or cross-dresser? I'm like, you tell me. I'm the boy with the camera in the closet watching my father doing this. Right. I don't know what that is. I'm as unfamiliar as the kid. But what is fascinating about children is that they accept stuff that we think, oh my God, how you're going to explain it to a kid. But they're much more open, they're much more, I don't know, they accept it much faster than us.
I 100% agree. Yeah, as someone who faced early tragedy in my own life and my own parents trying to decide like at what age to talk to me and tell me about it, I can tell you that the younger you expose children to that, they're better equipped than most adults to handle bombshells, if you will. Let's talk about you, the fantastic writer, director, producer that you are, because this was very much, I would say a one-woman show. Obviously you had actors and everyone, but you really carried the brunt of this project on your own. How did you do it? Talk to us about the production.
So when I made it when I was a student back in Ohio, if you believe me. And I shot it a week before lockdown. So I shot it like a few years ago, a week before lockdown.
Before COVID lockdown.
Yeah, before COVID.
And you're from Iran. Let's just also, so you came to the United States to study film and television. What school were you at?
I went to a film school in Ohio University, which is amazing, and it's free basically. So when people ask me, they're like, why Ohio? I'm like, because it was free. And it gave a lot of, I'm equipped with so many good stuff just because I studied in Ohio, because you are like, you don't have the privilege of being NYU or new school student, and you are all by yourself, an equipment room, and a bunch of film students. How can you make film right now? So that gave me the ability. So to cut a story short, yes, my whole crew were like a student crew, and my actors, they were not a student, but they were like fascinating. When people tell me, how did you find those actors? I'm like, I asked my professors, do you know any actor? And I was just very lucky. Also, I have to thank my script consultant and associate producer, Megan Smith, who is a great human being. Also, she's a transgender woman, but that doesn't have any impact on my friendship with her, because she's just a great human being. And she was so open to help me. And she shared the personal, very, very personal moment of her life before transition. And it was just fascinating. So I couldn't make that movie without her.
So your project is done now. You had a great, you've come in third place in our Audience Choice Award, so our viewers have certainly responded. But you also had a nice win recently by getting to show it in New York on a big screen.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was surreal. It was surreal. I had the privilege to be part of Soho International Film Festival. And I had my world premiere at East Village Angelica, Theater 1. That's something I always mention, Theater 1. And it was such a magical, surreal moment, because I don't want to get very poetic, but I call filmmakers sculptors of dreams. Well-known, celebrated, famous film students. So we are sculptors of dream, and that is extremely difficult process, and there's no joy in the process of making it. Right. But that intoxicating, that fascinating, addictive moment of sharing that dream on the biggest screen or any screen with people, that is something that you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. So yeah, that was like a great opportunity for me, and I was just couldn't believe that I'm sharing that moment with, almost like 170 people on Saturday morning. So yeah.
Congratulations, and I love your energy. I love your story, and you're absolutely right. Film is an addiction. That's why we're all here. We love that feeling. You're right. There's nothing fun about the process, because it's a lot of work, and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. But in the end, you have this amazing, beautiful project that you all came together to create a dream come true. So I concur. What's next for you? And are you here to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my home.
Good.
So
we need you.
Yeah. Thank you. So, currently I want to basically I hope I can get into as many festivals as I can for this particular film, because festivals is like essential avenue for short films. However, the goal is to put it in front of audience. Right, and they're the best judge. I really trust I really trust audience. So that's the main goal for me for this film, to put it in front of as many audience as I can. And also, I've been working on a feature script as a thesis, because it was pandemic again, and I decided to basically write a feature script instead of making a thesis film. So, and that script hooked me I'm hooked with that script for almost 5 years.
Awesome.
So, and that script basically got into some writing festival, Austin, Nashville, Atlanta. And my current goal is to attach and find people that believe in me and truly trust my vision. So my feature is right now my top priority.
Awesome, very good. Well, if our audience choice has anything to do with it, I think you're very much loved in this film circle. What advice do you have for other filmmakers who might be sitting on an idea and think that they can't?
Make sure that each scene, as a picture or like a series of dialogue, is absolutely necessary to your film, and ask yourself, does my film work without this scene? Even if you are uncertain, you have to take it out, because that's how you can make it consistent, make it short. You can keep the pace and rhythm of the movie. So yeah.
All right, great advice. I have one last thing. I'm going to give you the iWoman award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To Faryar Hoseini.
Yes.
for the movie Smothered for winning 3rd place in our Audience Choice Awards, which means that the viewers, you had the 3rd most viewers on your film of any of the films in our recent iWoman New York Women in Film and Television
Thank you so much.
Film Festival. So congratulations on
Thank
behalf
you.
of iWomanTV. Thank you for being brilliant and beautiful, and keep continuing to keep this dream alive of filmmaking. We can't get enough of women who are behind the scenes just pulling it all together. What an incredible example. And I'm certain that everyone in Iran and your family and everyone's super proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very grateful, and thank you for those people who took time and watched my film, because it was like very grassroots for me. I went to events because my basic audience are back home, and they might have problem with internet connection and like, yeah. So I went to different events and I asked people one by one to please watch my film, because in this business, no one is advocating for you except you, and nobody is responsible for your film except you. So, and you have to push. So that's what I did, and I'm very thankful.
You know, I think in light of that, why don't you look in the camera right here and give a message to your friends, family, supporters back at home.
Thank you so much for supporting me, for dealing with my social awkwardness sometimes. And I'm very blessed, and I'm so happy that I came from 2 continents away to make the movie that I want and be free and do what I want. And that means a lot. Iran is my country, but United States is my home. The home that I never truly have due to the circumstances. And I'm so grateful and so blessed to be here, make movie with like entire American crew, totally an American story, and still be able to share it on the biggest screen or on website platform. So thank you very much. And
yeah, and I actually do have one last question. I don't want to take you down a different path, but if your mother could be watching right now, and I imagine she probably is, how proud do you think she'd be of you?
She was the only person who believed me, who supported me, because when you switch to art, it's a stigma in countries like Iran, in 3rd world countries, because they're like, oh, okay, there's no money in it, they're wasting their time. They're like, yeah, they're just like a bunch of lazy people. But my mom, what she did as the last favor was putting a check in a bag so I can buy a camera, because I could never buy that camera. And that was the last thing she did for me, to put a $1,000 check, and then she passed away. The last act was supportive and heroic.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And congratulations.